Hi. Now we've got some things that are approved. We are going to continue to push forward. As you can see for my design process, I have pre-procurement set much further down the road. We have to move through schematic design and design development before we do that. But for our purposes, schematic design and design development are just further iterations of what we just did. And so I'm going to move past that and move us all the way to procurement so that we can keep moving and you can see the different things that happen across a project as opposed to keep repeating the same tasks over and over again. So just know that we completed pre-design together. Schematic design would be a further iteration on that, and then design development would be a further iteration on that. We would just keep refining until we got it to where we wanted it to be. We would have checkpoints, like where we're meeting with the client to be able to make sure that we're on the right path, and we get feedback from them so that when we go through the next iteration, we do that with their feedback in mind. But for our purposes, we're going to move straight to procurement, where we are basically making sure that everything is set and ready to order. We're going to do that together now. So one of the things that I want to do is, first of all, I'm just going to go into my orders. What you'll notice is that everything that has been approved has a purchase order attached to it. And it just so happens to be that we approved multiple things. If you remember over here is we're looking at our approved items. So here they are. And it just so happens to be that these are both from two vendors. So any time we approve a selection, it will automatically draft a purchase order. And I am going to go in to my orders, and with each vendor, it continues to collect everything that I've approved. For this particular vendor, I've got these two lighting fixtures that I approved that belong to this. I am going to just make sure that it looks right. In pre-procurement, I'm basically order prepping. I'm making sure that it has everything that I want it to have. It's got the right information. So this is my vendor. The address is here. My trade account number is here. This is my address. And I want it to ship to the project site. I want to make sure that I identify that. And this is the project site address. And that's it. This is looking good. I don't have any further instructions for the vendor. I have all the information that I need here. Quantity is right, color is right, everything's looking good. That was pretty straightforward. So all I'm going to do is I am going to basically assume that this is ready to go. I want to tell my procurement specialist that this is ready to order. This is the only one manual thing that I have to move this into, because I want to be intentional about telling somebody when this is ready to go. I want to say ready to order, and then I'm just going to save it. I want to leave that there. Now I want to look at my other purchase order, and this has everything from my other vendor on there. We're just looking it over to make sure that it looks right. I see here that everything looks good, good, good. I am going to take this off, and I am going to take this off. That is because those were intended to be a C.O.M, so I don't want to order those yet. I actually want to choose my fabric before I place that order. So these two are ready to go, and everything looks good here. I want to say that this is shipping to site. This could be shipping to a receiving warehouse. It could be shipping to my office, but for our purposes, I'm going to say that it's shipping to the site. And I feel good about this. Yes, one of these looking good. I like it. I'm going to say this is ready to order. And then I'll just click save. So with this in mind, I have some things that I know are ready to order, and I have some more work to do. As you know, we have a couple of outstanding items to continue to select. We have fabrics that we want to include. We're going to go back over to our selections. We have some quotes to get. So as part of pre-procurement, we're going to get those quotes, right? We're going to make sure that the lead time for those fabric orders is in line with what we need for our furniture. We have more work to do. But what I'm going to do is just assume that we're moving forward on the things that we have already approved and have determined that are ready to go. And again, that's just so that we can move through to the end of this process with you. In pre-construction, we would prep our drawings. So the same way we're prepping our orders, we would actually prep our drawings. We would make sure that they're all in order for any custom millwork. We would make any changes to our floor plan. We would need to add the dresser that we included here. We would need to add this millwork here. If we wanted to make any changes to the process of design, we would continue to refine, and that includes documentation. But again, with that in mind, we are going to move into procurement so that I could just show you what that process looks like. One of the first things that I'm going to do then is I'm going to make sure that my procurement specialist is aware, and whoever is handling my billing for the project is also aware that we're ready to go on certain things. Now, you may have a separate contract. Like I certainly move into a separate contract for procurement. I keep that as a separate contract from the design agreement. And that's because there's so much that's still unknown. When I'm working through design, and working through the design process will inform what I want to have exist in my procurement agreement. But we're just going to move forward with the idea that it's like we know that we have an agreement with our client and we're going to move forward. So I'm going to go into my finances. And whereas before I requested a retainer for those design funds, now I'm going to request a deposit. So I'm going to go in and say new. We're going to get my face out of the way here. I'm going to say deposit. I have my client selected, and I would say first round of FF&E purchases. I am going to add items from the deposit. So I want to say everything that's approved, basically. I can just hit this because it's these things. And then this. So everything that's approved, I'm going to request a deposit for. I can see that it has the blue thumbs up, so I know that it's approved. I'm going to select those things. I'll click next. Now, I actually do want to take a 100% deposit. You can take an invoice if you want. Invoice is you want to do that when you're ready to move this to revenue on your books. And I'm personally not quite ready for that yet because there still may be some changes. I might have to make some adjustments, apply some credits. I don't want that to have to come out of my operating costs. So I want to make sure that I'm continuing to hold this in a holding account so that I have enough money to operate and continue to place these orders, but I'm not ready to move it to revenue on my books yet. So of course your process may vary, and you can invoice at 100%, you can invoice at 50%, you can do whatever works for you. I am taking a 100% deposit, only I'm going to take tax off because I don't want to have to update my tax reporting should anything change as I move through the purchase orders. So that's going to then automatically back it off from 100% just slightly, and it's just telling me that. I'm going to say add to deposit. Because these are approved, I have an image. I'm able to send this to my client, and they can see that they are paying 94%. There's 5.88% remaining. Fees that were on my project, those are not showing here. Those are not showing on a deposit request. Those will show on an invoice. So right now, I'm only requesting money for the product, basically. This is looking good. I want to do just like I did before, and I want to allow my client to pay by both card or ACH, and I want them to cover the card platform charges, and I'll cover the ACH platform charges. I might say here that just a little note to say that any changes in cost, additional shipping charges, I'll say shipping, freight, and taxes will be included on a final invoice. I just want them to know basically what they're paying for, what they're not paying for, and what they can expect to pay for later. I want to make sure that I'm very clear about that. I'll click send, and I don't need reminders for this. I'm going to go back in here, and I'm just going to assume that they paid me. I'm going to say apply payment. I'm going to say new payment received. I am going to say they sent me a check. We have retainers for our design services, and we have deposits held. There's one other retainer that I want to get, and that was for the things, are unanticipated. So based upon what we've got so far, we're going to act like this is the whole thing. I am going to say, okay, that's a $20,000 contingency fee. I don't think I need that much. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to edit my fees. I'm going to take it down to 10%. Okay, and then I'm going to save that. And now this number is 15,082. So I'm basically going to go in and I'm going to ask my client for a retainer, and that is going to be contingency. I'm going to say 15,000. And that's just going to be held in account. It's going to take me all the way from design through implementation. I'm just going to say send and don't need reminders. I'm going to say that they paid that. The contingency fee is something that you could also wait to take until you have a construction agreement or an implementation agreement. But we're going to go ahead and take it now just so you can see these sort of different forms of money that I'm requesting and how it shows up. I'm just going to say new payment received, and it was a check. Now I have 33,000 in retainer, and I can see that this is one and this is one. I also have one deposit. That's the one. We're looking good. We've got basically all the money that we need. Now, what I want to do is go ahead and place those orders. We're going to go in here, and I am going to place my first order. And I'm going to say, yep, this all looks good. This is ready to go. And I'm going to preview the email. This is going to my vendor rep. I'm CC'd on it, so I'll get that. My rep is CC'd as well. So automatically, it's identifying that the email that I've identified for orders to be sent to for this vendor. And it's also realizing that I need to CC my rep and myself. Now, based upon whatever relationship I have set up with my vendor, I may know that I may not want to send this to the rep as well. That may result in a double order. So I could remove that. In this case, I'm going to let my rep know, like, hey, I'm just letting you know I placed this order. So I am going to leave it like that. I have a subject here that I can change this, but it's a new purchase order from, this is my business name for this demonstration account. This is my rep's name. I basically want to include all this information, and she's just going to get an email and says, I'd like to place this order, and it's for these things. I'm going to click send. We're going to do the same thing with the next order, only I will say on this one, I already have a bill or receipt. I placed it online. Let's say it's just case goods and a lamp. That's something that I could place online. So we are going to do that. I'm going to tell Materio that I already have a bill or receipt, and then I'm going to upload that order confirmation. We're just going to assume that this is the receipt. It's just a placeholder. But what I want to do is I want to look on the right to see that everything on the right matches what's on the left. So we are just going to assume that those two things do match up. I'm going to say, oh, you know what? I chose a finish that is more expensive than what I had initially planned for. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to say that this is now $13.50. Now I'm going to say that what is on the left now matches what's on the right, and I'll click confirm. What I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and make that payment, made the full payment. But what I want to do is click on client pricing because I increased the cost and I don't want to pay for that. So I want my client to pay for that. I'm going to click on client pricing and I'm just going to say pass on. Okay. So that's it. I'm going to click pass on. The next one, this one says nothing, by the way. There's nothing to pass on. There's no change in cost here. It's just that it's telling me next, so I'm going to go see what's next. This is where I see something is ready to be passed on. This highlighted number is telling me that, hey, something has changed. I have a change in cost here. What do I want to do? Do I want to absorb that change in cost, or do I want to pass it on? But I want to pass that on. I'm going to say save and close. And so now when I go to invoice the client for it, they will owe me more than that 5% that was still. We're going to click save. Now we'll see that these orders are ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and pay for the Allied Maker one as well. I'm going to record a payment there. Looking good. And I want to, I need to upload a bill of receipt for this one too. That's why it's not moving forward. I do need to do that. So I sent this one to the vendor. And so now I need to assume that they basically confirmed with me that they received my purchase order request and that they've processed it. Now I can confirm that nothing has changed. Everything here looks the same. If I found out that something changed here, I might say this changed to a lower amount, $1,000. And this changed to $1,250. In that case, that lower amount, I want to absorb. I don't want to pass that on to my client. So I basically just don't need to do anything. Everything on the purchase order is back end. So I don't need to click the client pricing button and tell it that I want to absorb it. If you notice, if I click absorb one time, the next one, if I click absorb, it doesn't let me do anything. And that's just because I'm not passing anything on at all. So the client is not going to be aware that my cost was lower. The client just saw their stated cost, and that's what they're going to continue to see. So just know, if I want to absorb changes in costs that are lower than what I initially anticipated, I don't need to do anything. This is all back end. I just don't need to click anything at all. But if costs have increased and I want to pass those on, or I want to pass one on and absorb the other, that's where I'll open the client pricing button and I'll tell it what I want it to do and how I want it to handle those changes. So we're going to click save. We're going to say that this is confirmed. This is done. I am going to get rid of this payment here because I paid it a little too early. I'm ready to pay it. I need to get my right amount after I change my numbers. All right, we're looking good. I'm going to click save. These two things are going to move to ordered. Fantastic. Okay, so now I have two orders that are fully paid. Let's go back to my selections, and now I can see that this is ordered. Our items are ordered now, and we will just keep moving them through their life cycle. Now, what I want to do, I'm going to take a look at my scope table view, and this is the first time that we're doing this together. But this is where I can see everything in one place, and it's kind of really nice to be able to do that. I can also see unit cost, markup. I can see my client subtotal, so I can see everything here. I can see my profit, and I can make changes to anything in here. Look in my finances, and I can look in my performance tab, and I can see a lot of very helpful information. I can just start to get a picture of what's happening here. I can see what my cost is and what the client price is, and so therefore what my profit will be. I can see what I intended to commit and what I actually committed. And this is going to become a little bit more clear once we start to invoice. But we're showing as negative because we've committed money, we've spent money, but we haven't invoiced yet. So let's go do that. All right, so we're going to go to invoice, and we're going to do a couple of things. First of all, I want to invoice for my design time. So I'm going to say new invoice, and I'm going to add invoice items from the project scope, and I want to choose these two phases at the very least. I'm going to say, yep, I'm going to take all of it. What I want to do is make sure that I pay for this. I don't want these fees on it. 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 This is my design services. This was for pre-design and schematic. Those are the hours that I committed to, and all this looks good. This sticks from the last thing, so I don't want that on there. I'm going to apply payment before I send this to my client, because don't forget they already paid me in the form retainer. So I'm going to say apply payment from retainer or credit, and I'm going to pull that retainer, which was this one. I know from the amount, so I'm going to click yes to that. I'm going to click apply. That way the balance due is zero. I'm just letting them know that I'm allocating those funds. That service is rendered. That is my money now. It is not their money anymore in any way. So I'm going to click send. It's already paid. Send to client for their records. That's all I'm doing. I'll show you like how your performance changes. Now we have progress on these two things where we didn't before. I am no longer in the negative, and I'm going to do even better for myself by going ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and invoice the items that we actually process the purchase orders for. So let's go back, and we are going to say new invoice. And now I'm going to add invoice items from my scope, and I want to choose these ones that I already processed the POs for, and I can see what those are because they are the ones that are ordered. I still need to make selections for these things, and these I haven't ordered yet, so they're not ready to go. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say next. Now I want everything, tax and everything. This is an invoice. I'm going to add to invoice. Now I would leave the procurement fee on there. I don't need the contingency fee on there because I already requested that money in the form of a deposit. So I have that. I don't need to have the shipping fee on there because I'm actually going to pass that on to them. If I have additional shipping costs, I will pass that on to them. And you'll see that like in the bed and some additional items that we would order down the line. I'm going to turn that off. And I do want them to pay the insurance fee because they need to. But really, I would have taken that I would have invoiced that earlier. So I might turn that off as well. Since I already collected a deposit and deposit funds are very sticky, they stay connected to the items you collected that deposit for. So even if I took a deposit initially for like 100 items and I'm only invoicing 4, it knows what money belongs to those 4 items. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to apply this. It's automatically applied. It's just telling us that this amount is applied to this purchase order. And because I am managing the procurement, I do want this procurement and project management fee added on here, and the sales tax is also added as well. Now they just owe me this amount. Out of 44,000, they only owe me 13. I'm just going to send that to them. I don't need reminders on this, I'm going to assume that they paid me. I'll go ahead and say apply payment and new payment received, and they sent me a check. There we go. Now let's look at our performance. We're in better and better shape. Right now we're doing really well because we're showing at 83% profit, but that's also because I took that procurement and project management fee and I don't have any time allocated to that. So I know that that's going to change, but we are looking really good. This is just a great tool to be able to have. Not everybody will have access to this. Certainly for firm owners and for anybody who you want to have this information, it's a great tool. Now we're going to look at our timeline, and we want to make sure that we're communicating not only with our procurement specialist, but also with the person who is going to be managing the project and handling all the installation and those types of things. So we are just going to move through to the end of design on this. I don't have an implementation schedule because we're stopping at the end of design. I just have, as part of my template for design, I have a hold for implementation so that we can sort of have that on our books, but since I don't have a contract for it yet, I don't add that schedule here. One thing that I do want you to see though, is that if I go to orders and I find out that this one shipped really quickly, I want to add the shipping for this. Say the lamp has shipped and it's the shipping number, but it's shipping today. I expect the delivery date to be by Friday. It's going to come really quickly. I don't want both of these items. I just want the lamp. So I'm going to take off the chest. I'm going to say just the lamp. I only want to select the things that refer to this tracking number. And I'm going to say that it is shipped. That's all I have to do. Now it's shipped. And two teams can see that information. The person who was handling procurement would have entered in that shipping information. And now two other teams just by default know it as well, which is great. A lot of times my designers are spending more time in the selections tab and screen, and they can see that it's shipped. We don't need to send an email. I don't need to send a Slack message or a text that something's come. They already know just by doing the work that I was supposed to do and documenting what I know, the other team members are made aware. So that is shipped. The person who's handling project management is going to really be doing a lot of this timeline planning and communicating with the client about timeline. Here, as you can see, my lamp is scheduled for deliveries. I have upcoming deliveries that automatically populates on my timeline as well. Now we have moved through both building our scope, moving through procurement, and just getting into our timeline and what that can do for us. So there's a lot more to Materio, but I just wanted us to move through from beginning to end of a design process so that we can just understand some of the key things that we hit on and what we do and how we get from A to Z rather. So yeah, there are a lot more, and we will have video tutorials covering specific tasks and workflows. But we just wanted to just move through one whole project with you so you could just get a feel for what that's like. Thank you so much for joining me in this series of videos as we move through the process of design in Materio. We will continue to work hard to bring you more tutorials covering specific topics. If there's anything that you want us to cover, please do reach out and let us know. We're interested in your feedback, and we want to work to be able to support and meet your needs. So looking forward to seeing you again in future videos.